In the last episode, Kentaro finally completed his dark fantasy one-shot after compiling all of his favorite elements into one, and he was ready to set sail for the civilization. Would he be able to survive in this cruel industry? Would the Japanese audience enjoy a dark fantasy manga? Would he be able to put instant noodles on the table with his passion? Find out more in this episode of Mangaka Z. Shit show. Back to the main topic, we are going to explore the rest of Kentaro Miura's career in great detail, including his love for MMA and the legacy he has created. Well, for Otaku, let's begin today's video on the saga of Kentaro Miura, Part 2, Berserk, the dark fantasy masterpiece. And now, smash my intro. The saga of the Black Swordsman, not Kirito, no, not Ichigo either, was published in Monthly Animal House, which in 1992 became Young Animal magazine. Our story begins with one armed Black Swordsman conquering an eroticized demon girl. Volt then picks up a cute elf and then embarks on his long journey for revenge. What? Wrong show! Our Black Swordsman is good! In most other fantasy series, like the one we all know and love, the elf and the swordsman would form a dynamic duo and go exploring around the world together. Sure, there is a sad moments, but it did be generally really fun and family friendly content. But the grim dark log is different. My shonen expectation was quickly shattered after seeing the anger in Guts' eyes. We soon learn Guts' tragic backstory and experience his insane rage. It easily put every top 10 most angry character ranking to shame, yet is completely justified. His background story is not the generic tragic copy-paste plot that even my grandma knows. His rage is not a basic selling point that every edgy shonen protagonist has. It is a consequence of his actions and reaction, and that is the beauty of Kentaro Sensei's writing. We the audience soon realize the story begins in medias res, a fancy technique that basically means the show begins in the middle of the plot filled with action. We are introduced to the characters partway through their journey, only to be taken back a bit and shown how they got there. It's shown Guts' past, and damn, this is an example of memory arc done right.
Not like goddamn Shippuden, where we get bombarded with 20 episodes of fillers per every 5 canon episode at the pinnacle of the final act.
Bruh.
Life of a Naruto fan.
There are so many amazing arcs, moments, chapters, panel and illustration. It will be extremely difficult to cover all of them in this single video due to time constraint, and I simply think it will not do the amazing series any justice. Having said that, I will link some of my favorite Berserk video that you weebs can indulge on. You're welcome. That being said, there is simply one arc that I have to mention in this video. I think every Berserk fan already knows what I'm gonna say. The Golden Age arc. For me, this is on the same level as the Marineford arc from One Piece, All Might vs All for One from My Hero Academia, Camilla Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter, and basically your favorite moments from your favorite anime. This is storytelling and character progression at its finest. The 11-volume story took me on an emotional roller coaster where I experienced sympathy, disgust, hope, joy, confusion, anger, and betrayal. It is like a free Michelin star cuisine that left a complex flavor on your palate that your ignorant and incompetent vocabulary could simply not express. To this day, I still can't remember the Golden Age arc vividly despite being almost a half a decade since I first experienced it. If I was to describe it, it would be, this arc is fucking damn good. Initially, the progression of the manga was supposed to be like Fist of the North Star, full of violence and action scene, as Kentaro modeled it after his favorite childhood anime. but that will never allow him to create a manga that has the potential to surpass the action sensation. Hence, he took a different path by the Golden Age arc, where he focused it more on the character emotional root and development, drawing upon the famed shoujo series, The Rose of Versailles and Kazeto Ki no Uta, and trying to emulate how they made him feel. That decision was the perfect choice, looking back as Berserk's popularity blew up past the Golden Age arc, and all of the characters have their own moments and development, separating Berserk from other fantasy works. Since Kentaro Sensei continued to elevate his art skill and many unforgettable adventures of Guts, which I wouldn't spoil it here so you weebs can fully experience this grim dark fantasy mastery at its purest form. But there's one topic I must discuss, and that is the immersively well done contrast in Berserk. The best example is Guts and Griffin, a lean pretty boy contrasted with a muscular meathead, one being holy while the other being dark, a logical knight versus an insane berserker, an unlucky individual in a lucky event, while the other is a lucky individual in an unlucky event. Yet till this day, we can't say for certain who is good and who is bad. And that is the beauty of contrast in Berserk. Everyone is a shade of grey, and this complicated sense of moral is rare in anime and manga.
And Griffin did nothing wrong.
8 years after the manga debuted, Berserk finally received the much anticipated 25-episode Black Swordsman arc animated by OLM Inc., the very same company who produced the Pokemon, Inazuma 11 and Vanguard series. Interestingly, Kentaro Sensei was the supervisor for the original anime production. Since then, we had a few more Berserk adaptations, including a trilogy movie of the Golden Age arc in 2012 by Studio 40C, which was really good, definitely worth a watch. And finally, we have the Human Excrement. 2 season 24 episode animations covering both the Conviction and the Falcon of the Millennium Empire arc by Gemba and Miller Pensy Studio. I have almost lost interest in roasting the shit out of this laughingstock of the decade, as there is already a gazillion videos out there ranting about it and big brains explaining why this show is dog shit. Like, fam, how can you butcher it so badly? Like, what the actual frick? Look at this Minecraft turd! Sorry, that is an insult to Minecraft. Whew. Relax, YHTaku. Back to the video. On top of anime, he also supervised the gaming production of Sword of Berserk: Guts Rage in the legendary yet sadly extinct Sega Dreamcast. That's a different part of history which we wouldn't get into right now. By 2006, Berserk went into a frequent and high hiatus, and it alternated between monthly and infrequent releases like many great mangas such as The Gray Man, Vagabond and Hunter x Hunter. Boy, Don't even get me started on this one. This chart from Reddit basically summarized their frequent hiatus period, the first year being 2013 with only one chapter being released. Still better than Hunter? Don't. Kentaro Sensei never explained the reason for extended hiatus, but in my professional opinion, as a manga critic, he simply needed a break. During the early period of Berserk, Kentaro Sensei basically drew all the time, every day, which resulted in him not having any time to socialize, so over time, he burnt out. As a result, he needed vacation to give time for himself and recover from the insanely difficult work condition. On top of that, he needed time to think and plan out the next stage of the story, making Berserk extremely well constructed, and it never failed to surprise the audience. Last but not least, Kentaro Sensei spent a vast amount of time on illustration and making Berserk as detailed as possible. I don't need to say much, but check this amazing artwork out and imagine the time it took to get there. I don't care if you're a genius, this takes time and hard work. There is simply no other way around this. After reading the final chapter of Kentaro Sensei's work, all I can say is, my man f***ing smashed it. Kentaro Sensei has delivered an emotional roller coaster once again. Damn, it was beautiful, yet it was sad at the same time. It was wholesome, but it left all with a bitter taste. It has answered some of the Berserk's biggest mystery while creating one of the biggest cliffhanger at the end. It was so Berserk-esque, packed with emotions and surprises, while leaving the reader wondering what is next. Since the serialization of Berserk, Kentaro Sensei doesn't have much spare time to work on other series. Fortunately, he did release 2 one-shots since his last collaboration with Buranson on the one-shot Japan. The first one is Gigantomaxia, a 6-chapter one-shot that was published in Young Animal in 2013. The story is set 100 million years into the future after the Great Destruction reverted civilization to a more primitive time. There are a lot of giant creatures, fat cockroaches, and there's a huge war occurring between the Olympus Empire and Alcinius. Our main protagonist, Delos, along with Promi, is on a journey to change the planet. This one-shot has the familiar Kentaro formula, amazing battle scene, eye-catching detail, and many surprise elements that makes you think, what the hell is this guy smoking? Entertaining as always. During the latter half of his career, Kentaro Sensei created a manga studio named Gaga, My Sketch. This is intended for his assistant to work together on a manga project with Kentaro as the primary author and overseer, similar to an anime director. However, he still worked on the storyboard and illustration. As a result, it allowed his assistant to gain valuable experience in working on a passion project where they can all contribute while gaining serialization experience in a published manga magazine. Half a decade later, after the last one-shot, Kentaro Sensei created another one-shot series, Duranki, the 6-chapter manga published in Young Animal Zero in 2019. I swear this looks so similar to Dragon Ball cover. The story centered around an intersex protagonist named Usumu, traveling around a mythical world. The inspiration for such protagonists derived from strong female characters from Frozen's and Mad Max Fury Road, where strength and independence were not restricted by gender. I swear that looks like a Shota, Guts and Griffin. Not everything that Kentaro Sensei did was met with compliments. In fact, Durankan had received many criticism when it first released, as fans were worried that this project would distract him from Berserk and delay the long serialization. To relieve the anxious audience, Kentaro held an interview explaining that his work in Duranki is minimum and it will not slow down Berserk production, stating he would just work on the storyboard and let his assistant at Studio Gaga to complete the project.
For me and perhaps many others, Kentaro Miura is an artist I would put right up there with people like Takehito Inoue, Boichi, and Hirohiko Araki in terms of the level of draftsmanship in their art. Every panel seems to have a considerable amount of effort poured into it, with no corners being cut anywhere else. With that being said, my favorite aspect about his art are his splash pages. If you look at just one of his splash pages, you can immediately see the amount of detail that is drawn on every corner of the page. Now, it is not enough to just have explosive detail all over. You need to be able to lead the eye of the viewer to where you want it to go, or else the impact of what you're drawing can sort of get lost. One way he does this is the particular use of value ranges and its compositions. One example of Kentaro's use of value ranges is in this page here. In compositions like this, you would want to separate things from the background, midground, and foreground, and using separate value ranges is one way to accomplish that. The demons that are closest to the foreground will have the highest amount of contrast, while those in the back won't have as much. This is only amplified if you take into consideration the fire in the background, which acts as a sort of light source for the entire piece. If you reduce the values of the demons in the foreground, it wouldn't work as well because you also want to take into consideration the effect that high contrast could give to demonic figures, most notably the feeling of intimidation. This is another good example in how Kentaro uses value to lead the viewer's eye. Guts, being the black swordsman, will obviously be indicative of his design. That being said, in this page he functions as a focal point due to the high contrast. Kentaro made sure that his value range will be considerably darker than the other characters, because if Guts did have the same value range, he would sort of be lost amongst the other characters. And I only say sort of because there are other cues that Kentaro uses in order to lead our eye. He uses the direction the other forest dwellers are looking towards to lead the viewers in the same way, and on top of that, if you apply the rule of thirds, you can see that Guts falls on one of the cross areas, which is a good rule of thumb for placing focal points. Kentaro has mastered not only applying large amounts of detail, but also where to place them to maximize his visual storytelling. And with all of this in mind, thank God that Berserk was a manga that released a chapter monthly as opposed to weekly, and on top of, breaks in between. Any page with this level of detail will probably require around a week to get done. Even with assistance to lighten the load, it's still a lot of work to do. Because as I said before, Kentaro Miura gives his attention to every single page without cutting corners. Berserk has been a staple manga for those who read a lot of seinen manga, and for those who have yet to read it, I implore that you find some time to go check it out. I can't say that it is for everyone due to its profound content. All I know is that it's been an enjoyable ride for me, and hopefully it'll be one for you guys as well.
Thank you Namukia for breaking down Kentaro's drawing style and make it a lot easier for normies like us to understand it. If you want to find out more info on artwork breakdown and different artist style, go check out Namukia's YouTube channel, and I have to give credit to this subscriber for suggesting the collab. Thank you man. Let's talk about the incredible legacy that Kentaro Miura as a mangaka had left behind. As you can tell from my previous mangaka video, I'm a stats guy. We need some numerical data to back up our claim, cause man lies, woman lies, but number don't lie. But you can't date number sadly though. One of the most important metrics I look at is manga sale, because people wouldn't spend money on manga that they don't find it interesting. As of right now, Berserk has sold over 50 million copies with 14 volumes available, placing it higher than Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, and City Hunter, making it one of the best-selling manga of all time. On top of that, he had also won multiple widely recognized incredible awards like the 6th Tezuka Osama Cultural Prize in 2002. Kentaro has already cemented his place in both history and the minds of people. Another factor that I put a lot of weight on is the influence of the work, mostly the impact on the subsequent generation. Like the famous saying, great recognize great. Manga legend inspire upcoming manga legends. So let's have a look at who Kentaro Sensei has inspired. Katsui Kato, author of shonen hit Blue Exorcist. Ryogo Narita, author of the light novel sensation Bakano and Durarara. Yana Toboso, creator of BL legend Black Butler. Yuki Tabata, Jump's latest shonen big hit mangaka Black Clover. And finally, the one and only, the epitome of hype and popularity, Attack on Titan author Hajime Isayama. Kentaro Sensei impacted expanded beyond the manga community. He has also influenced the design of the blonde spiky cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, Cool Demon Hunter Dante from Devil May Cry. I can definitely see where the inspiration arises. Big ass sword and a bunch of ugly monster and the world setting for Dark Souls and Dragon's Dogma. Without a shadow of doubt, he has excelled at two of the most important factors, leaving behind a great legacy in my opinion. Kentaro Ryoma has rightfully earned his place in the manga history. Remember I mentioned that Kentaro Sensei was a huge fan of Susumu Hirasawa's music growing up. He actually asked the composer to make a soundtrack for Berserk's adaptation. Interestingly, my man Susumu is still active right now at the age of 67. Damn!
What?
Just like every other typical weebs, he liked to play Aero games. One of his favorite is no other than the Three Kingdom inspired Shin Kohime Musou. I can't blame you, who doesn't like a thick Guan Yu? Another filthy weebs game he enjoyed playing is unsurprisingly the Idol Master, and his favorite character is the top 3 flat-chested queen Chihaya Kisaragi. Personally, I don't enough to comment on this game, but I have definitely seen her multiple times in a certain website. Just like us procrastinating on YouTube, Nico Nico
Japanese YouTube
became Kentaro Sensei's favorite platform for binging trashy content, and he actually designed a character for Gag Point during the partnership between Nico Nico Doga, Dowagan and Self for the whopping cost of 0 zen. What a nice guy. So I have mentioned it that Kentaro Sensei was a huge fan of Grain Saga written by Kaoru Kirimoto. Well, he actually illustrated the volume 8 cover. That must have been a dream come true moment for a nerd like him. One way that Kentaro Sensei ensured his artwork is full of detail was via intensive research, going as far as finding the source material and fully thinking about it, absorbing all the contents, try to think about the author's intention and the source material that the author consumed. This is way more than 99% of uni students googling and pasting dissertation at the final exam. Interesting side point, Chika Umino, the author of the wholesome series Honey and Clover and the gut-wrenching Match That Comes In Like a Lion, is actually a good friend of Kentaro Sensei. They were fans of each other's work as both of their work shared a common theme, struggle, and how to handle it. Eventually, he did a collaboration with Chika Sensei in which she drew the cover art for volume 33, and that was definitely misleading and false advertisement at its finest form. Like I've mentioned in the last video, Kentaro Sensei enjoyed judo. In fact, he was surrounded by a group of friends that did MMA, and he decided to add his experience into the manga. A perfect example was the battle between Griffin and Guts, where the White Knight used the BJJ joint locking technique. His gaming habit from his childhood persisted well into adulthood. He played it every single day for at least 1 hour, and he also had the Nintendo 64.
Damn,
Kentaro Sensei enjoyed a range of combat sports. Boxing was definitely one of them. In 1997, there was a huge war in the toughest division, Iron Mike Tyson versus Warrior Evander Holyfield II at heavyweight. Both athletes were in sensational shape and their muscular physique was absolutely insane, and it left a huge impression on Kentaro Sensei's mind. Hence, he started to draw the devil and monster in a more muscular form. Speaking about demons, Kentaro Sensei intended to make demons as a reflection of human instead of the stereotypical pure devil. It definitely added more depth to the character and made them like a human who went down the wrong path, blurring the lines of right and wrong further, making us as a reader emphasize with the antagonist. A perfect example was the Lost Child chapter, where the devil became more like a vulnerable kid by the end of the battle, while Guts became more of a monster hunting down a child, creating an excellent contrast and confusing the boundary between human from devil further. Questioning the reader, was it our moral, our consciousness, or our appearance that make us human? Kentaro Sensei had 5 really close friends since uni. They had competed and helped each other to reach new heights. Band of Hawks was actually modeled after them, with Kentaro Sensei being Pippin.
Stand up, big boy squad.
One of his friends was an inspiration for Griffin too. It started off with him doing well in manga, and like others, he too wanted to be a mangaka. But over time, he gave up and decided to do stuff that made the rest of the group jealous, like getting a girlfriend and being a fuckboy.
貴様、女とやってるな。さて、それじゃあ焼き討ちに行くぞ。奴の家を知る者はお任せください。よくやった。
Then he got into a really good company, making millions of yen per year. Everything seems to be successful for him after he decided to ditch his friend, just like Griffin. But one day he was not satisfied and decided to give up his job and went back to his true roots, drawing manga and starting again from square one.
Maybe that is a foreshadow of Griffin's future.
There's a lot of Easter egg throughout the show which I wouldn't have time to spoil it here, but there's a few interesting one I want to point it out in this episode. In the show, an eclipse happens every 216 years, which was the number derived it from 6 times by 6 times by 6, aka the devil's number. Spooky. Another interesting coincidence was that there's a German knight named Gotz who fought with an artificial arm that sounded somewhat like our good old protagonist Vol. Kentaro Sensei has drastically improved his artwork throughout the civilization, and like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A simple contrast of panel can tell you how much improvement he had made and how much hard work he put into it. For Kentaro Sensei, he often goes to the source material. Like for the devils, he would often read the mythology of Oni and research their origin. In terms of magic, he actually created his own magic system for Berserk. Rather than just casting a simple spell and balading balaboom, fireball will occur like in many other anime, in his system it is more of a transferring from what you can visualize in your head and slowly manifesting it in reality. It gives a nice mix of reality and fantasy in Berserk, and it makes the battle system far more balanced. Otherwise, everyone would be chucking ultimates by the end of the series, rendering the brutal swords fight pointless. Reflecting back, Kentaro Sensei had insane work ethic, joining 12+ hours on a daily basis for years, drawing close to 6 pages per day during his peak. In fact, he did not take a single holiday during his first 6 years of Berserk civilization. It was only by 1996 he first took 2 weeks off. As a result, he was hammered and did not go out much. He sacrificed his social life and many potential fun activities like going out and getting a girlfriend.
Damn, my man is a true weeb.
Back in April 2021, Miura Sensei had an interview with his classmate Shizuya Warazale, the author of the Roman warrior manga Chess V, and they had a really interesting conversation where Shizuya Sensei was concerned that he would not be able to complete the civilization in his lifetime. Miura commented that it is a fight with his health, and some people are even working hard at the age of 90. On top of that, there are many clues that Kentaro Sensei's health was slowly deteriorating as the civilization progressed, thanks to a Reddit user compiling all of the relevant info from the Berserk volume. We can see how much stress and pain Kentaro Sensei endured during Berserk. My man is literally using his life force as ink for the manga. What a fucking legend. Looking back, this might have been foreshadowing of Miura's future. Maybe he knew his health was not in a great condition. He knew his passion would drain his life away. He knew he didn't have much time left. Yet, he chose to continue his dream and deliver his final chapter. Every great story comes to an end, and this is no different. Unfortunately, Kentaro Sensei passed away on the 6th of May 2021 due to aortic heart disease, a life-threatening condition in which a tear in the inner liner of the artery can result in blood rushing through the inner and the middle layer of the aorta, causing a split and ultimately it caused death. A range of mangaka and legends paid tribute and condolences to Kentaro Sensei. Some of the noticeable individuals include his close friend Koji Mori, his first work shadow sensei Joji Morikawa, his childhood favorite composer Susumu Hirasawa, last but not least his good old friend Chika Umino. Out of his 5 inner circle friends, Kentaro Sensei was actually close to Koji Mori, as both of them competed and motivated each other throughout the years. He treasured their relationship and used his friendship as a model for Griffin and Guts without the dark parts. To reciprocate his friendship, Mori Sensei decided to create a new series about their relationship titled Mori-chan and Ken-chan. Who is chopping onion out here? Why is my mask not blocking it? God damn! As we are heading towards the finishing part of the video, there is still one question that I, along with millions of Berserk fans, have. What's next? At the time of the recording, we still don't have a definitive answer, but there is still hope of Kentaro Sensei's studio, Ganga, continuing his work, as this is what the editor and what the fan wanted, and most importantly, place a well-deserving conclusion to such a masterpiece. With that being said, I respect whatever decision Studio Gaga made, as they have simply done more than enough for the community. They don't own us anything, they are the gifts that just keep gifting, nothing but respect and gratitude for their works. Finally, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, rest in peace Kentaro Miura Sensei, and thank you for leaving behind such a masterpiece. My limited vocabulary and words simply could not describe how great Berserk was and how spectacular the legacy was. Kentaro Sensei had poured his every last breath, blood, sweat and tears into his manga, and to that I have nothing but the utmost respect. I believe Berserk has indeed changed the dark fantasy and the entire fantasy genre and became part of the manga history. It was the dark fantasy masterpiece that inspired the next generation.